cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept 1/3 of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him.
And how I picture it, which is not in the Bible. Stories were told about this battle, about a specific warrior named Chukwuemeka, who struck down Azazel. And he requested that his part not be put in the Bible, so that God may know that he did it for the glory of the Lord and not for his own. He was thrusting spears into the bellies of terrifying demons, decapitating demonic knaves. Sirens, succubis, and assorted demonic beings were being vanquished in battle. This brave warrior fought with much heart. With curved blades, Asian steel, he sliced down his enemies. With daggers that had the symbols of God on them, he pierced the hides of demons, thrusting his dagger into their neck, slicing, stabbing, chopping, he proceeded. He was separated from the legions of angels, especially his specific regiment. It was as if there was a pit of darkness with a little beacon of light that just would not quit. The darkness could not overcome. Slicing them 1 at a time, 3 at a time, 8. He was determined. Azazel, who had been repelled by several angels, was in this pit of black, pitch black, with a demonic, eerie feel. He turned his head to the right, and he saw this mighty warrior of God approaching. Hydras, leviathans, horned beasts, all struck down. Some of them were mighty as bulls. Some were as cunning as a serpent. But none could stand up to this warrior. Having to choose between the onslaught of the angels to his left and the inevitable approach of Chukwuemeka on his right, Azazel stood still. He felt a moment of hope as he saw Michael approaching the devil, so that he might live a little longer. He charged toward Chukwuemeka. This felled the transcendent hero with might as he saw the moment he was waiting for. Slicing through them fastidiously, persistently, he increased his attack. All of his energy was being spent. He started glowing bright blue, bright yellow. He approached the enemies, what was left of them, for by now they had scattered and regrouped around Azazel, forming a protective line, knowing that it was unmistakable what Chukwuemeka's intentions were. His hands were full of the acidic blood of vipers and devils, his head stained by demons who he had headbutted. As he had stabbed one demon with one hand and stabbed another, he headbutted yet another, his knees and elbows drenched in demonic filth. The bones, blood, flesh, the particles of demonic matter and blackened wings, he began to be covered. But in a moment, as if a wind had come over him, that was centered in his middle, all the filth was removed. And at that very moment, he had slashed down the last of the demons protecting Azazel. With a mighty sword in his hand, he punched Azazel and knocked him off of his feet. Azazel rolled on the ground and attempted to get up and flap his darkened wings, but he was stopped. He was stopped by the sandal of this brave hero, stepping on his wing. He lifted up the front part of his foot, his toes ever so slightly. Azazel began to crawl away frantically. In desperation, this hero slowly approached Azazel with oh so grateful steps. Grateful to be alive, grateful to be in the service of God, and yet these steps were also full of grace. Azazel begged, "Mighty warrior, spare me. You have fought so gallantly. It will be recorded in the archives of the heavens. Spare me, and I will reward you greatly." "Why not spare me?" Chukwu lunged forward. His flashing sword sunk in to Azazel's hide, piercing his demonic flesh and striking his blackened, corroded, contorted, and twisted heart. And as he did, he said, "Because it was the scum." Having fulfilled his part in the divine plan, he looked up just in time to see that serpent, that demonic being, the devil, hurled to the earth, and what was left of his angels with him.